the great work that's performed by our men and women day in and day out that unfortunately most of the public don't get to witness. But again, I know that you appreciate the work and we appreciate your support. Also here, before I get into the story, I got to, you have a lot of young men and women over here from the Intel award winners. I know one young man right over here, 4 Ivy League schools. Eight. I'm sorry. That's why I didn't go to Ivy League school, just so you know. They asked me how many Ivy League schools are at 4. So, but anyway, congratulations to all you guys, young men and women, that make us proud here in Nassau County. Thank you guys. Now I get to talk about my guy, Nick Zaharis. He just celebrated 10 years on the job last month, right? March. And I got to tell you what, he's on the sergeant's list. He's a model police officer, someone that every kid, if you can't get into an Ivy League school, 8 of them, they want to decide to become a police officer. Anyway, what happened was on November 10th, 2014, a radio assignment was broadcast for a robbery with a shotgun that just occurred in Uniondale, which is within the boundaries of the 1st Precinct. Responding police units broadcast a notification over the police radio, giving a description of the subjects involved, as well as the description of their vehicle, including the plate numbers. Officer Zaharis, who was on patrol and canvassing the area for the subjects, observed a vehicle fitting the description of the subject's vehicle, which had the exact same license plate numbers from the notification. Officer Zaharis attempted to conduct a stop of the vehicle, at which time the suspects fled. He continued to follow them, and he went on the radio, and he asked for other assistance while he followed his vehicle. Remember, this is a notification that came out that an armed robbery with a shotgun just occurred. Shortly thereafter, the village of Hempstead, the car stopped, and all 4 subjects bailed out. Officer Zaharis didn't let that deter him from completing his job. He pursued the subjects, along with the other police officers, and he ultimately arrested all 4 subjects that were wanted for that armed robbery, recovering the shotgun and other weapons. Again, normally you would respond to a call, and that's the end of it. You take a report, let the detectives. But Police Officer Zaharis, knowing the description of this, was diligent, went around the area to search for this car to make sure that there was no other harm done to anybody else. And he did this in a successful conclusion with nobody hurt. Again, he did a great job. Again, this is just a small example of great work every day. And for that, Nick Zaharis got top cop. Thank you. I know the police commissioner would like to say a few words too, so Mr. Gunther.
Thank you, Jimmy. First off, Legislator Gonzalez, I'd like to thank you and all the legislators for recognizing the great work that is done every single month by the Nassau County police officers. Police Officer Harris's work that night can only be described as heroic. He stepped up. It was great police work. His observation led to the apprehension of 4 dangerous subjects. And I'd like to thank Police Officer Harris for all he does every single day. This is just one example of the great work that Officer Harris does and the members of the 1st Precinct and the members of the Nassau County Police Department do day in and day out. So thank you, Officer Harris. It is greatly appreciated for everything you've done. Thank you. I'd like to thank you for, you are tomorrow's future, and congratulations. You should be very proud. 8 Ivy League schools. I'm going home yelling at my 15-year-old. So again, Legislator Gonzalez, thank you very much. It's all too often we forget about what the great work that the Nassau County Police Department is doing. It is the safest large community in America, and that is a tribute to the men and women of the Nassau County Police Department. And Police Harris is truly a hero. So thank you.
Join us for a photo. Oh, would you like to say something?
He's talking to me enough. I think he's ready for a picture.
Is he ready?
Congratulations. I'm very proud of your mom. Congratulations to you. You've done great. Thanks.
Just do it. Almost looks like a midget. You see the time? Just like
Hey Ron, I thought that was you. How are you? It's been a long time.
Rich chair.
Hold on one second, don't go away.
Yeah, so now it's still, now it's not it's 40s. Yeah.
You always said that.
No, I know, me. Thank you. Nice to see you.
I could not. Like, I went and felt that. Only one of them covered. Don't get one actually, I can't get momentum to go that way. Step on one leg.
That's incredible.
Without any further ado, I believe congratulations are in order for each and everyone of the Intel winners. And of course, I would like to say congratulations to our friend there who made 8 Ivy League universities. When I read it in the paper, I said, oh my God. I said, well, I'm sure that you're very proud of what you've done, and your family is just as proud. But you, as Intel winners, you should be proud of being where you are and being here with us today. Each of us are not fortunate to have an Intel finalist in our, I believe it's semi-finalist in our districts. But I say, no matter where you're from, it is a credit to your schools, your parents, and your teachers for doing such a great job. And without any further ado, I will call on the legislators who are lucky enough to have winners in their districts. And I'll begin with Deputy Presiding Officer Richard Niccolo.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. I just wanted to echo her comments and congratulate all of our Intel semi-finalists today. It's truly a remarkable achievement on the part of the students and the faculty of the schools that are producing these tremendous students who accomplish so much on an annual basis. I have students from 2 schools today that I'd like to recognize who are here today to receive awards. From Manhasset High School, Jessica Kim. Jessica, you want to step up to the Podium. Jessica's project was entitled Improving the Efficiency of Inverted Solar Cells with Gold, Graphene, and Styrofoam. Her project was intended to reduce the cost of solar cell panels, allowing them to be competitive alternative to today's fossil fuel markets. She plans to attend Harvard University this fall to study material science and engineering. Wow. So congratulations, Jessica. Say anything or just I'll be down in a moment to present the citation. I just also want to recognize the principal of Manhasset High School, Bean Schlanger, who's here, right over there, and Tom Elkins, who's the district coordinator for science and technology. Congratulations. Just briefly, there were two other students who were unable to appear from Manhasset High School, including Typer Yam and Emma Dunn, and I want to congratulate them as well. Congratulations. And Jessica will be down in one moment with the citation. Just want to recognize the other student that I have, okay? From Minneo High School, we're very proud to recognize Charlotte Ring. Charlotte. Charlotte's project is assessing soil erosion through runoff and water drop tests on the acid rain attack. The project is intended to study the acid levels in the rain and its effects on our soil. Charlotte plans on attending the University of Chicago in the fall to study geology. Congratulations, Charlotte. Charlotte, our principal of Minneo High School, Edward Escobar, assistant principal Whitney Smith, and her research teacher, Dr. Ellen McGlade McCullough. Last but not least, I also want to recognize another student who from Minneo who also was a semifinalist who could not be here today. That would be Monica Dari. So thank you very much. Congratulations, Charlotte.
Legislator Dunn.
I'm really happy to introduce my Intel Award recipient. He's such a great guy. I saw him before. Not only is he a smart guy, he plays the violin. He's the managing editor of the school newspaper. His mom looks at him with such loving eyes. It's like, he's not a mama's boy, but he sure is loved by mama. And he's joined by, Van is the award winner. Would the principal, Mr. Bowles, come up with him also, and Mom, Selma Matthew, go up with him. And I'd like you to tell us what your project is.
Hello everyone. I just wanted to thank you first for inviting me here today. And also, so my project was entitled The Formation of Poly-3-Hydroxybutyrate Inclusion Complexes with Urea. And basically, PHB is a biodegradable polymer that can be used for a lot of medical purposes, especially with biodegradable sutures or time-release drug capsules. However, these applications cannot be commercialized because of the fact that PHB is extremely brittle. So I spent my summer trying to reduce this brittleness, and I was successfully able to do so.
Wow.
Absolutely. Tim Bowles has a tremendous, athletic programs at Clark High School, and their music program is phenomenal. And we also have brains there. So we've. And which Ivy League school are you going to?
I got accepted into Princeton University.
Princeton University. Okay. I already did it already. Yes.
Now, Legislator Jacobs and Legislator Schaefer are joining together in recognition of their semi-Intel finalists, okay? Whoever's both good.
I just want to say that it's always a thrill to be here on this day, because you'll notice from the faces when we're in awe of everything we hear that these young people have done. And this time, Plainview Bethpage High School has somebody by the name of Ariel Gavalsky, who is a lovely, intelligent, brilliant young woman, and we're very proud to have her in Plainview. And Laura?
Yes, I am proud as well. I'm very happy to have you here today, and I want to congratulate you for doing such a wonderful job. And also with her is her research teacher, Mr. Tessar, and Principal James Murray from John F. Kennedy High School.
So we can go down. Well, let's go down and we'll take a picture.
Okay. Explain what your project is about as well.
Hello, thank you for having me. My project was to determine whether priming the right anterior superior temporal gyrus of the brain could effectively facilitate one's cognitive problem-solving ability.
Oh yeah, I was going to do that too. You took it from Laura. What college are you going to?
I'm going to UCLA.
Congratulations.
Okay, we're just going to take a picture. I'm sorry. It's a great combination. Brilliant, smart. What more do you want?
Perfect, super.
Legislator Rhodes, you have a until as well.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Actually, I'm fortunate in my district to have 3 of our Intel semi-finalists, 2 of which unfortunately were unable to be here, but I do want to mention their projects. All 3, incidentally, are from Belmore JFK High School. First is Samuel Epstein. And the purpose of his study was to determine if the presence of microbes and the manipulation of genes in a pathway that senses nutrient levels can reduce dietary intake. And the data to him suggested that altering the genetic expression of the TOR pathway directly impacts feeding, and that this effect is influenced by the presence of specific microorganisms. His research will actually provide insight in determining the factors that play vital roles in slowing the aging process, which is something that, as I get older, I've become more and more interested in. But congratulations to Samuel. Also not able to be present with us today is Justin Shapiro, also from Belmore JFK High School. His study uses statistical analysis to search for correlations between annual revenue figures and a corporation's commitment to climate change mitigation. The novel findings of his study demonstrate that corporations include climate change and mitigation techniques in their business strategies, but the decision to adopt those techniques in the aftermath of adoption have minimal correlations to revenue figures. And in the future, his data suggests that government should do more to make climate change mitigation strategies more profitable for large corporations. So congratulations to Justin. Great job. And I am very pleased that I would ask to come forward Beatrice Brown. Big hand for Beatrice. Now, I had the opportunity to chat briefly with Beatrice a little earlier today, and she is quite a remarkable young woman, an accomplished flautist. And also is choosing between, and I wish I had this choice, is choosing between Harvard and Yale to attend. She's leaning towards Yale. But I also want to, in addition to Beatrice, I want to recognize her parents who are here as well, if they can stand. And also, the district science chairman, Lorraine Poppy, the principal of Belmore JFK High School, Barbara Franklin and Barbie Frank, who are the science teachers. So a big round for them as well. Beatrice, I have the description of your findings, and it's way over my head. But can you explain to us what your project was about?
Sure. First of all, thank you all for having me here. My project was entitled Forecasting Hurricane Hazards for the Long Island Area. My family was actually flooded by both Irene and Sandy. We were displaced for an entire year due to Sandy, actually. So this really motivated me to study the probability of hurricanes hitting the Long Island area. And upon reading previous literature, I had noticed that there were no models to predict hurricanes for a specific area, more so a basin-wide area such as the Atlantic Ocean. And those type of predictions don't really help local areas determine their risk in a given year. So my study aimed to create a novel prediction model to determine the probability of the Long Island area being hit in a given year. And I was very happy that my model was successful in being able to determine the probability of a storm hitting in a given year.
Do you know the prediction for this summer?
So what are we looking for this summer? Because I represent an area that was badly hit by Sandy, so what are your findings?
Well, what was interesting was the model was able to predict the probability of every storm that has hit Long Island in the past. The model is still at a peak with a probability of about 1, which means that a storm definitely can occur.
Okay. Anything like Sandy coming?
See, it's not really deterministic, it's more just probabilistic. So while we can know that there's a probability of a storm, not definite that a storm will occur in a given year. Possible.
Thank you very much. Legislator Jacobs.
I am very fortunate because I have 4 school districts and all have a winner. And I'm so proud of that. I can't be. Let's talk about Jericho High School first. Jericho High School, their 3 winners, happens to have 2 finalists, Len Lee and Crystal Zhang. Crystal is with us. Crystal, would you come up first? Where's Crystal?
Ian.
Not here? Okay.
Ian,
Crystal, normally I read what you did, but I'm not sure that I can. So would you tell us in a couple of sentences what your project was?
Sure. I'm actually Ian. Crystal couldn't be here today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ian Lee. I apologize. I thought we had Crystal. Apologize.
It's okay.
Yours is pretty good. I probably could have read yours, but I'd rather you say it.
Okay. So I use brain imaging and clinical assessment data to discover that different brain abnormalities underlie different symptoms of major depressive disorder. So hopefully this increased understanding of the heterogeneity of depression will inform clinical treatment and diagnosis in the future. Thank you.
So impressive. And we're so proud of you. What school are you going to?
I'm debating between Princeton and Stanford.
That is phenomenal. It really is. I'd like to also call up Stephen Zhang, who I know is here. Stephen, perhaps you could tell us about your project.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me here today. So my project was about mitigating climate change, and what I did was that I developed a novel compound that can very selectively absorb CO2, the main contributor to global warming, in a very efficient manner for in carbon capture and storage.
Thank you. We love it. We love this day because it puts us right where we belong, that we understand. I think that our future is in good hands when we hear from all of you. And what school are you going to be going to?
I'll be attending the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay, so that I believe covers Jericho. And Crystal is the one who, well, let me just see. Actually, she did work on spine collapse. Am I correct in this? I'm going to try to do this the right way. And a collapsible type of mechanism that could help for a person who has problems with spine. Am I right? For those who don't, I'm right? Okay. I'm putting it in my English. Okay. Well, so we're so thrilled to have you, and we're so proud of Jericho all the time, and Plainview. And now, Syosset. And luckily, there are 2 of us who share Syosset. Legislator Don McKenzie and myself. Are Syosset people still here? Good. Okay. So can I ask all 3 of you to come up and then you'll explain your projects? That would be great. Okay, so we have Vivian. Is Vivian? Yes. Vivian, I was wondering if you could tell us about your project.
Hi everyone. So my project was in psycholinguistics. I did my research on whether or not the use of modern communication affects the complexity of a person's use of language. And so I found that even though there were generational gaps between the complexity of language use, so the older subjects tended to use more complex vocabulary than the other ones, within each age group there was not enough difference between those who used modern communication and those who didn't, to indicate that our use of, say, Facebook or texting and instant messaging has any immediate effect on the development of the English language. So don't worry.
Did you choose your school yet?
Sorry, what?
Your school that you're going to?
Yeah, I'm going to MIT.
Then we have Divish Sharma.
Hello, thank you for having me. I did a particle physics research project. So I used a computer program to simulate and assess how protons behave in electric and magnetic fields. And I found that the program's data was consistent with theoretical estimations, which means that the program is of a sufficient accuracy that it can be used for other similar physics projects, which would save time and money that would otherwise be spent on the orders of billions of dollars on physical experimentation.
That's great.
UC Berkeley.
Wonderful. That's good. And the next person we have is, I'm sorry, I just want to get it. Vijoy Mahunda. Did I say it right? I'm sorry.
Majumdar. First name perfect though.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. You can tell us a little bit about your project.
Sure. So thanks for having me. My project, I created a platform for brain-guided prosthetics by which physically impaired patients could control robotic arms using their thoughts. And the merits of my design were that it was non-invasive, effective both logically and empirically, and also was self-adjusting using machine learning algorithms from user to user. And also, there's something else I forgot. But also I compared my results with a literature review from late 2014 with other brain-computer interfaces that had a similar approach to mine. And I found that my algorithm and my entire system had better classification accuracies than most of the published literature. So yeah, that was it.
You're wonderful.
I currently haven't committed anywhere yet, but I may go to either Georgia Tech or Carnegie Mellon computer science.
Beautiful. Legislator Mackenzie, would you like to say something?
Sure. It's really amazing to see these people who are so young and speaking on such relevant topics, and especially ones that will have practical applications to help all of us in the future. And I congratulate all of you, and thank you.
I still have more. Yes, I'm sorry. And now I share the next group from Roslyn High School with legislator Dirigi Witten. So we have, I believe, we have 3 people. Am I correct? We have all 3 here? Two are here. All right, so, well, the 2 that are here, would you please come up and get it? Tiffany and David. Yeah, Tiffany and David, right? And Tiffany, I know you're a finalist, which is unbelievable. And would you like to explain your project?
Sure. I would first like to say that it's such an honor for myself and also David and the rest of the Roslyn crew. My project was entitled Contemporary Biases and the Classic Trolley Problem, the Effect of Socioeconomic Status, Attractiveness, and Disability on Sacrifice Rate in the Trolley Problem. So I used a commonly used moral dilemma called the trolley problem through a psychological lens to look at discrimination that we have. And I found that people were more likely to sacrifice the individual on the track if she was disabled, if she was unattractive, and if she was low socioeconomic status, which says a lot about society today.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what school are you going to be going to?
The University of Virginia.
Congratulations.
Could you explain what that part was?
The trolley problem?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a moral dilemma in which there's a runaway trolley barreling down the tracks on which 5 individuals are tied. And there's a bystander, which in my case was the participant, and he has the option of flipping a switch that can lead onto an alternate track. But on that alternate track still lies 1 individual, so that's the person whose characteristics I manipulated. And the question is essentially, what would you do?
Interesting. Thank you.
Wow.
David Jaslov, that's correct? Did I pronounce that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, would you mind explaining what you did as well? Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and thank you guys for having us. My project was entitled Saving for the Good Life, a study of how to increase savings for retirement. And what my project did was I basically created a new version of a 401k plan, manipulating 3 different variables, which was the number of funds that were presented, the title of the plan itself, and whether or not an opt-in or an opt-out plan was offered. And I basically gave my participants a fictional job and a fictional salary, and gave them different versions of my 401k plan and see how we can get Americans to save more and save at a higher rate.
Cornell University. Well, congratulations.
Legislator Szilagyi.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to all of the Intel semifinalists. With you as our future is very bright. I have the distinct honor and pleasure of recognizing a young man who I met in my district, who helped me distribute flyers about the dangers of having certain things in our neighborhood. And although he was at the top of his class, he was very humble. I'd like to recognize Mr. Howell Eck as this year's Intel semifinalist from the Elmont Memorial High School District. Who could not be here today. And I'd also like to recognize his mother, who also is a mother to 5 young men. 5 young men? 5 young men. From Nigeria at the age of 8. He is a proud representation of how the American dream is still alive and still very strong. Despite wherever you may come from, whoever you may be, that you can achieve anything you want in this country as long as you put your mind to it and your heart and soul. And I thank you. You have done more than just have gotten into 8 Ivy League schools, Harold. You have inspired and made an entire community proud. The Almont community and also the entire 3rd Legislative District proud of why we are here in Nassau paying these high taxes, because we want our young people to lead and we want to provide every opportunity for them. So Harold's project was on the mitochondrial depletion of DNA, and I'd like for you to explain more on that. But again, personally, I thank you. You show that Elmont is a great community, a community that produces assemblywomen under the age of 30, a community that represents, a community that produces so many hardworking people who just want something better. Please, if I might ask my colleagues at this moment to please stand up and just thank Harold. Congratulations. Good news does prevail. Harold, would you like to say a couple of words?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I'm representing my school and my community in such a positive light. So my investigation was on the role of part 1 in methylmercury-induced dopamine dysfunction and mitochondrial DNA depletion. And so we know that methylmercury causes many neurotoxic effects. However, we don't know what pathways are involved. So that's what I focused my study on. And ultimately, I found that through deactivation of this enzyme, you can prevent the neurotoxic effects that cause Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease. So, thank you.
And Harold, can you share with everyone? But if you could please explain to everybody where you'll be going in the fall.
So before this, I just like to first of all say thank you to the community. This is an accomplishment, not really for me, but for my school, and I want to thank my strong support system at Elmont Memorial High School. So I'm currently undecided right now, but I have good problems. I have a lot of options. I'm currently choosing between MIT, Harvard University, Yale University, and Princeton University.
Mom,
Mom, please come here, please. Thank you. God bless America.
Okay, I think I may be the last one. Okay, last but not least, by any means. Okay, and as a proud mother of 3 grown children now who each participated in Great Neck North High School Science Research Program, I know what a terrific program it is, and we have 2 semifinalists here today. The first one is Monica Beeferman. She did a project, and I practiced this, intracellular crosstalk in protein aggregation of E. coli cells, an examination of the proteostasis network. Good? Okay, and I know you wanted to study what led to some kind of disease such as muscular dystrophy. Would you explain to us what you did? And I know Monica's here today with her mother, her proud mother, and her research teacher, Ms. Shust.
Thank you for having me. So I studied protein folding in E. coli cells. So proteins fold in your cells to maintain stability and function properly. And when proteins don't fold correctly, it can cause many different diseases, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's, muscular dystrophy, and some forms of cancer as well. So I looked at why proteins are not folding correctly and found that there's a model. I tested for the presence of a proposed model and found that it exists in E. coli cells, which with future research could potentially help to explain what's going on in all of these diseases.
That's terrific. And what school are you going to be going to?
I'll be studying biomedical engineering at Northwestern University.
And our next semifinalist from Great Neck North is Jessie Lynn. And I think her title for her project is perhaps the easiest one. Top-down and bottom-up interaction in spoken word recognition. Would you like to come up and explain it to us?
Hi, so thank you for having me. My project studied the mechanisms for spoken word recognition, specifically for new words. So recognition of new words in language is a task that we find relatively easy, but it's actually very difficult for computers and the hearing impaired. So I hope that my results would be able to be applied to develop better artificial intelligence and hearing aids in the future. Thank you.
And Jessie has a really tough decision to make too about colleges. What are you considering?
I'm currently deciding between MIT, Stanford, and Harvard.
I had 2 other semi-finalists from the Great Neck South High School who were unable to make it here today. And they are Robin Jang and Jay Zussman. So I want to congratulate both of them as well.
Legislator Schaefer?
I just had one other semifinalist that I also wanted to congratulate. He was unable to attend. His name is Brandon Choi. He's from Garden City High School. And his project, this is a doozy, is called Berberine in conjunction with salicin and glycine attenuants, the effects of lipopolysaccharides on immune cells. So if anybody here knows what that is, other than the students sitting here, I'll get a citation made up for you right now. But anyway, I just wanted to say congratulations to Brandon.
That ends our points of personal privilege, and I will say once again to the Intel semi-finalist and the finalist, as well as the young man who made 8 schools, and certainly shot whatever day I tell all of us. Congratulations and continued success in whatever you do, and don't forget where you came from. And God bless Now, we're on to We're on to the public participation session of the legislature. Those who need to leave, chance to leave, and then I'll be taking the call those who within their choices.
Take care. Good seeing you. See you soon. Thank you.
Representative Officer Nicolello, Alternate Representative Officer Cordell, Legislative Vital, thank you very much. Legislative Salati here, Legislative Ford, Legislative Curran, Legislative Becker, Legislative Mascarella, Legislative Birnbaum, Legislative Georgiewicz, Legislative Kennedy, Legislative Schaefer, Legislative Dunn, Legislative Jacobs, Legislative Walker, Legislative McKenzie, Legislative Rhodes, Marilyn Abrahams, Representative Gonzalez.
Present.
We have one. Also here.
I think everyone has had an opportunity to make their exit, and so we'll begin with public participation. And as customary, we allot 30 minutes, and I do ask people to keep to the 3-minute limit, because I do have lots of slips. And I will call those items that are not on those slips on issues that are not on the calendar. Those items that are on the calendar can wait till we do the item on the full legislature.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. I do know and recognize that is the normal course of practice, that we normally do not call anyone from the public on items that are on the calendar for today. However, there are dozens and dozens of folks here from the Uniondale community that I know have conflicts with their schedules. I would ask, in the interest of making sure that we have an open process, that we at least ask those folks that do have conflicts, who did take time off of work to be here, to be able to speak in the first 30 minutes. I would ask for that indulgence.
So granted.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to begin with Ramona. I'm looking at the last name. Galliano. All right, from Uniondale. Who would like to speak on language access? Is Ramona here? Okay, I know it's very, very difficult. All right, Griselle Rivera.
She just stepped out to the restroom. She'll be right back.
Okay, I'll just hold it there. Steve McFarland. Steve, come on, Steve.
I'm going to cede my time to the folks that need to leave, actually. Thank you very much.
I didn't hear what you said, Steve.
I will cede my time to a couple folks that actually need to leave.
Okay, fine. State your name for the record, please.
Keiko Cervantes Ospina from the New York Legal Assistance Group. I'm here today with my client, and just for the efficiency of time, she has to leave. I'm going to let her tell her story first. We do ask for an indulgence. I have to translate. She's limited English proficient.
Hello, mi nombre es Daisy Rocha y estoy acá por el problema más grande, creo que para nosotros los hispanos que no hablamos el inglés en este país.
My name is Daisy Rocha. I'm here to shed light on a problem that I think is the biggest problem for us that don't speak English in this country.
Apliqué para el Social Services, tengo una hija nacida acá en este país y mi problema más grande es no hablar el inglés.
I applied at Social Services. I have a U.S. citizen-born daughter.
Anduve aplicando para asistencia temporal ya que perdí mi trabajo y me encontré con el problema más grande, como vuelvo y repito, de no hablar el inglés y gente que no puede traducir.
My biggest problem is that I don't speak English. I applied with my daughter for Social Services because I lost my job. And again, I'll repeat that my biggest problem in getting these services is that I don't speak English.
He repetido hasta el cansancio que Si pueden, por favor, mandarme los papeles a mi casa en correo en español.
I've repeated to exhaustion to everyone if they could please send all notices to my home in Spanish, but they continue to send them in English.
Y hasta la fecha de hoy solo en inglés, y ese es el problema que tengo ahora mismo.
To date, all notices that I receive are in English. Presiding Officer Gonzalez, members of the legislature and staff, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. As I said, I'm here from the New York Legal Assistance Group. I'm a supervising attorney. Daisy Roach is one of our clients. We are here to talk about language access in Nassau County. We do commend County Executive Ed Mangano for his 2013 executive orders dealing with language access in Nassau County. However, we believe that compliance has not been uniform across all county agencies and that necessary changes can result in even more efficient, equitable program that will better achieve the goals of providing access. Ms. Rocha's example is one where she went to the Nassau County Department of DSS and she was denied access to a competent bilingual interpreter as required by the executive orders, and therefore also her right to representation and her food stamps were an issue, something that her family relies on. Ms. Rocha's meeting at the DSS office did not comply with local or state protections or with Executive Orders 67 and 72. Initially resulting in an adverse decision. If not for the advocacy of our office, her family would not currently have the food stamp benefits that they rely on. NILAG really urges you to consider that limited English proficient applicants are often pro se or without an attorney, and they don't have the means in order to reverse detrimental decisions. I thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam, real briefly. Thank you. Yes, good afternoon. I want to thank you very much for coming here to the legislature to present that information. As a person who represents a district that has a growing population in which people speak Farsi and also Haitian Creole, I'm very concerned about that complaint. I would also appreciate if you could send any concerns along these lines to my office in order to address this. This is an issue, as you said, of compliance, us upholding the law that we set ourselves to. So thank you very much for bringing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacqueline Saavedra. Is it Jacqueline? Are you Jacqueline?
Hi, no, I'm Grisel.
Who are you?
Grisel Rivera. You just call me? Sorry, I said that to the ladies' room. Good afternoon. I'm here regarding the language access order. I work for people with disabilities in Nassau County, and the implementation of the language access order will enable my limited English proficient consumers have the quality of life they deserve and live more independently and actively participate in their communities. Without language accessibility, my consumers can't obtain vital benefits such as food from food stamps, medical insurance, medical transportation, and cash assistance from the Department of Social Services. Also, the handicap parking permit, they cannot get it if they don't have language access available to them. In the recent weeks, we have done several test calls to see if the language access order is being implemented. And we called the Office for the Physically Challenged, and we were not able to get any information in other language rather than English. So this is what I'm here today, to advocate for the language access order. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Giselle. I believe I have Greg Maney. Going out of order here. Is Greg here?
Yes. have to go teach a class, but thank you for taking me on early. Good afternoon, my name is Dr. Greg Maney. I'm co-facilitator of the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition, a coalition consisting of 27 organizations in the Uniondale area with a combined membership of over 30,000 people. If you looked out at the front steps this morning, along with legislators Abrams and Bino, you would have seen a large number of people calling upon you to do the right thing by Uniondale as the host community of the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. We were joined by many concerned residents from adjacent areas, including the village of Hempstead and East Meadow. We call upon you to require as condition for amending the Coliseum lease that Forest City Ratner, through its shell company NEC, enter into a formal written community benefits agreement with Nassau County and the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition as signatories. It would be shocking. It would be shocking if you amend this lease to benefit an outside developer and foreign investors while refusing to insist upon benefits for your tax-paying county constituents. The arena is known as Nassau County Veterans Memorial Coliseum because it is located on the former site of the Mitchell Field U.S. Army Air Force Base. When the issue of where to send the children of the racially diverse military families arose, Garden City refused to integrate their schools. Uniondale, however, welcomed and embraced these families. Don't you think that you owe it to these heroes to go beyond the naming of the arena in their honor and erecting a statue to actually have the arena redevelopment benefit rather than harm the community where some of these veterans and their descendants still live today? Forest City Ratner is coming in and extracting wealth from local residents, competing with locally owned businesses, and imposing extra burdens in the host community. Mr. Ratner's idea of community benefits for Uniondale and adjacent communities like East Meadow and Village of Hempstead is more traffic, more noise, more pollution, part-time service jobs, retail chain outlets. Is this acceptable to you as our elected representatives? If so, you should consider looking for another line of work come next election. Inform your constituents of how you vote today. We want the redevelopment of the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum to succeed. The community benefits agreement that we are calling for promotes this success by increasing disposable income in the area for years to come, some of which income will certainly be spent at the Coliseum. Uniondale has an abundance of human and other social assets that, if properly synergized with and expanded by recent development projects, can make it the center of a regional healthcare and biotech corridor with international connectivity. With over 40% of our population born in other countries, Uniondale welcomes immigrants into the United States. We are a true global village and celebrate our diversity as our strength. It is only right and proper that the county and Forest City Ratner companies support us in serving this vital integrated function by helping us to beautify Uniondale Avenue, acquire and rehab zombie homes, create a small business incubator, extend our community center, and provide STEM internships for our young adults.
Your 2 minutes have expired.
Okay. We don't think your support for these modest projects are too much to ask for. We caution you as our representatives not to be dazzled by the bright lights and hypes of a major developer. During the Nassau County Legislature meeting to vote on the original lease, Mr. Ratner testified when he was being questioned by legislator Abrams that he would enter into a community benefits agreement. Now that the lease has been approved, he's reversed course. He has also misled the Long Island-based Blumenfeld Development Group into thinking that they were partners in redeveloping the Coliseum. If you pass an amended lease without a CBA requirement, you enable and embolden Mr. Ratner to engage in further deception. This would not I'm almost done. This would not bode well for the future of Nassau County Veterans Memorial Coliseum or the future of Long Island. This is your opportunity to hold Mr. Ratner accountable. What we are requesting is reasonable and fair. The $90 million in foreign investment will lower the interest paid by Forest City Radnor on the capital project, resulting in a wider margin of profit. All we're calling upon you to do is to strike a reasonable balance between developer profits and social responsibility. FCRC has entered into community benefit agreements with other projects, including the Barclay Center. If Brooklyn is good enough and other communities are good enough for a CBA, isn't Long Island deserving of a CBA?
Mr. Manning,
do the right thing by your Long Island and your tax-paying constituents. Thank you.
Reverend Graham. Looking for Reverend Ken Graham.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Ken Graham. I'm a Presbyterian minister and member of the Presbytery of Long Island, and I'm currently working at volunteering at the First Presbyterian Church in Baldwin. Harriet Tubman once said, "I had crossed the line of which I so long have been dreaming. I was free, but then there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land." Providing full language accessibility in Nassau County breaks down walls and barriers to immigrants as they seek not only to participate but to contribute to our community and to our economy. The Presbyterian Church, which has approximately 55 congregations on Long Island, half of which are in Nassau County, prides itself in its efforts to welcome strangers within their midst. We trust the county to also share in this endeavor and in this commitment to providing full language accessibility. And I trust that we all saw the connection from our students, the Intel finalists, and the importance of helping support students and young people to make Nassau County a place that is a place that we all are proud of and all want to continue to live in. Thank you very much.
Janine Maynard.
You had called Jacqueline Spindler, Mr.
Jacqueline.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Jacqueline Saavedra, and I work at the Empire Justice Center and Long Island Language Advocates Coalition. I have a letter here that I would like to ask the members of the legislature to show your support for language access by signing on to it. This letter is addressed to County Executive Ed Mangano. I would like to approach you to...
Give it to me.
Okay. And I'm just going to briefly read the letter. It says, Dear County Executive Mangano, we, the undersigned legislators of Nassau County, commend you for signing Nassau County Executive Order 67 and 72 in 2013. These orders were designed to ensure language access at county agencies for over 125,000 of our limited English proficient constituents, ensuring meaningful access to law enforcement, social services, healthcare, emergency services, housing supports, and programs for the elderly, youth, veterans, and people with disabilities is of paramount importance and strengthens the quality of life for all members of our communities. We're therefore deeply troubled that the county is not enforcing implementation of Executive Orders 67 and 72, and that its agencies are not providing adequate interpretation services or translation of vital documents into the 6 most frequent languages as promised. This legislature was embarrassed to learn from a coalition of community-based organizations that the county executive has repeatedly refused to meet with them to discuss problems with implementation of the orders and the resulting disservice to our constituents. In addition, failure to provide language access to county agencies which receive federal funding is a violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which states that no person in the United States shall on the ground of race, color, or national origin be included from participation in or be denied of the benefits of or otherwise be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. The Supreme Court in Law v. Nichols determined that failure to provide language access is a form of national origin discrimination. The U.S. Department of Justice is charged with investigating complaints of violation of Title VI by recipients of federal funding, including municipalities. We do not wish to see our counties subjected to the embarrassment of a federal complaint alleging national origin discrimination, nor the expense and possible sanctions resulting from a federal investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice. We urge you to follow through appropriately on the implementation of Executive Orders 67 and 72 to comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, and to invest the necessary resources to ensure that all Nassau County residents will be provided with equal access to county government and county agencies forthwith, regardless of their language proficiency. Thank you.
Kreye, is it K-R-E-Y-E?
Good afternoon. I request postponement of the resolution until we can get some change in the wording. Forest City Ratner promised to enter into a community benefits agreement when awarded the contract to renovate Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. That promise has been abrogated. Now, before the new lease and this EB5 funding is approved, we need to have a CBA written into this new resolution. This EB5 investment is defined for economically distressed places. Uniondale is your justification for EB5 funding in the first place. It is only fair and proper that we assure training and jobs for our residents, youth and adults. Assistance for the John J. Byrne Community Center, Uniondale, and other specifics mentioned previously. While we appreciate the aspirations which prompt people in other countries to invest and migrate, we need to assure a prosperous future for our immigrant population and other Uniondale residents. This is a purely business decision for our community and Nassau County. Thank you.
Cheryl Kessler.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Keschner. I work for the Empire Justice Center, and I'm the coordinator of the Long Island Language Advocates Coalition. We're a coalition of advocates who are concerned about ensuring equal access to all community-based services, any government-funded programs and services for people who are limited English proficient. And we seek to educate about the importance of that. And I'd just like to ask people who are here to support language access to stand up to show that we're all together on this. There are several people who had to leave, but I'm asking that you stand up. Thank you. In 2013, several of us began meeting with the Mangano administration. This was following Hurricane Sandy and the passage of a language access order in Suffolk County, as well as in New York City. And we were asking that they do the same here in Nassau County, because it's important that any government program or service be able to communicate with all members of the community, and vice versa. And at that time, they led us to believe that they were in agreement. In the summer of 2013, County Executive Mangano signed Executive Orders 67 and 72, which were allegedly designed to guarantee translation and interpretation at the county agencies. Well, here we are now, it's 2015, April of 2015, and those services are still not being provided. Over the past week, our coalition has conducted numerous visits and phone calls to county agencies, and the response that has been received has been horrific. People have been laughed at, people have been turned away, they've been told we don't speak that language here. And it's appalling, and we need your help. So I'm here to just give you an idea of what needs to be done in order to make this work. But here's what we understood, what was going to happen, and here's what we're asking you to support. We're asking that all county agencies assign a language access coordinator who has authority to ensure proper implementation of language access at those county agencies. That each county agency design a language access plan and procedure in writing. That all staff are thoroughly trained in how to assist limited English proficient individuals in a timely manner without excessive delays. That a list of in-house interpreters is developed, not just people who speak a language, but people who are fully proficient in that language within each agency. And that the agencies contract with a professional interpreting service and translation services, which can provide language assistance either by phone or in person in numerous languages. Ensure that phone prompts and messages are accessible to speakers of languages other than English. Translate all vital documents into the 6 most frequently used languages other than English in Nassau County. And under the executive order right now, those based on the latest census figures would be Spanish, Haitian Creole, Farsi or Persian, Korean, Simplified Chinese, and Italian. Provide an accessible and reliable translation tool on all county websites. Make sure the public is fully informed of the availability of interpretation services, and this includes the posting of multilingual "Do you need an interpreter" signs at all public agencies.
Your 3 minutes have expired.
Okay, just give me, I'll be done shortly. And it is also imperative that the county officials charged with implementation and enforcement of the executive orders meet with advocates at least quarterly in order to provide status updates and discuss any existing problems. Failure to provide the necessary leadership on this issue, as well as a lack of honest communication by the county executive's office, has eroded trust between Nassau County government, government agencies, and the communities they are supposed to serve. Lack of adequate language access services is detrimental to limited English proficient immigrants, to people with disabilities, and also to our entire communities. We are all more secure when everyone can receive the services they need and deserve, and which they have a right to receive without discrimination under federal law. And just one thing I do want to mention is that in January of 2014, there was a young woman by the name of Daisy Garcia in Jamaica, Queens. She went to the police in the 103rd precinct and on 2 occasions wrote down, "My husband is going to kill me and my children." And the police did not take the time to translate that message. And her husband did kill her and her children. We do not want to have a Daisy Garcia here in Nassau County. We need change now. We ask your support, please.
We are approaching the 30-minute mark, and I have time for one more speaker, and that speaker is Pearl Jacobs.
Good afternoon. My name is Pearl Jacobs. My name is Pearl Jacobs. I'm sorry.
have competition over there.
My name is Pearl Jacobs.
Pearl, if I may, I'm sorry, Pearl, come on. I think there might be some confusion. The presiding officer, at the beginning of every meeting, opens up the meeting for 30 minutes of public comment where you can talk about anything under the sun. She was kind enough to indulge the comments for some of the comments for the Coliseum project in that part. Normally, we have that discussion when the item is called, which will be called later. I say that because everyone that has provided a slip to speak, you will be able to speak. Because she's cutting off the public comment where you can talk about anything under the sun off now because we provide the first 30 minutes to start our calendar, does not mean you will not be able to speak. So I ask you to be patient, and I ask you to stay with us so that you can have an opportunity to voice your concerns regarding the Coliseum project when the item is called for public comment at that time. I'm sorry, Pearl, for the interruption. I just want to make sure I
I want to just confirm that. Usually, if we have many more speakers, right after the calendar is done, we stay here to listen to anyone else who has submitted a slip. So I don't feel that you're being neglected or ignored. There will be an opportunity for anyone else who wishes to speak after the calendar is delivered. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Pearl Jacobs. I'm a member of the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition, as well as I am the president of the Nostrand Garden Civic Association, Uniondale. I am speaking on behalf of Uniondale and our neighboring communities, advocating for a community benefits agreement for Uniondale. As the host community, Uniondale will bear the brunt of the inconveniences that will result from the redevelopment of the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Increased traffic, heavy-duty equipment, noise, and increased pollution, just to name a few. For these reasons alone, Uniondale and its adjacent communities should receive a community benefits agreement to offset the additional inconveniences associated with the redevelopment project. The Nassau Veterans Coliseum is in Uniondale, just as the Atlantic Yards received a CBA for the development of the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Uniondale should receive a CBA for the redevelopment of the Nassau Coliseum Memorial Coliseum. We are demanding economic justice and corporate responsibility. We are calling upon our county legislators to make sure that the amended Coliseum lease benefits tax-paying residents as much as it benefits outside developers and foreign investors. For too long, Uniondale has been ignored and disrespected. We are not standing up for ourselves. We are advocating for our own community, and we are advocating and speaking to our county representatives that you will vote and for the benefit of Uniondale, a diverse community in Long Island, a long-time diverse community in Long Island, and diverse communities matters. And the question of the day is, why not Long Island? Why not Uniondale? Thank you.
We will begin the calendar for the fifth meeting of 2015, which is the 24th meeting. And as always, we begin with the consent calendar. And that means that there are items on the calendar that both sides of the aisle agreed to, and we call them all at once. And then we will go back to those items that require discussion and require input from both sides of the aisle. So at this point, with the help of my colleagues, I'm going to begin the consent calendar. Just give me a minute to do so. ready for the consent calendar. And as I said, this is the consent for both sides of the aisle on the items that I look for. And these items, by the way, were offered in committees, and I asked the stenographer to please enter the testimony of those committees into the record. Okay, we're going to begin with item 3, ordinance 34, item 4, ordinance 35, item 5, ordinance 36, item 6, ordinance 37, number 7, ordinance number 38, item 8, ordinance 39, item 9, ordinance 40, item 10, ordinance 41, item 11, ordinance 42, item 12, ordinance 43, item 13, ordinance 44, item 14, I believe, no, 15, excuse me, resolution 48, item 16, resolution 49, item 17, resolution 50, item 18, resolution 51, item 19, resolution 52, item 20, resolution 53, item 25, resolution 58, item 26, resolution 59, item 27, resolution 60, item 28, resolution 61, item 29, resolution 62, item 30, resolution 63, item 31, resolution 64, item 32, resolution 65, item 33, resolution 66, item 34, resolution 67, item 35, resolution 68. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Capel, seconded by legislator Shea. Any additional comments? Moved by legislator Capel and seconded by legislator Shea. Okay. Any additional comments? Any comments from the public? There being none, all those in favor of the items that were called, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The items passed unanimously. I'm going to go out of order for a minute. And I believe we have a few items that were not on the consent calendar. And I'm going to begin with, there are some appointments, and I begin with the item 21, resolution 54. Resolution to confirm the county executive's appointment of Gregory A. May as Commissioner of the Taxing and Limousine Commission pursuant to the Nassau County Charter, Section 203 and Article 21B of the Nassau County Charter. Motion, please, Legislator Dunn. Legislator Dunn. Okay. Seconded by Legislator Kepler. Okay. Okay, Mr. May, would you like to talk to us about you?
Just want to, what I intend to do? I guess I intend to enforce the rules and regulations of the Indian Tax and Limousine Commission. There you go.
Okay. All right. Okay, we have questions from the legislators board.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How many investigators do you currently have now working in this Taxing and Limousine Commission?
Currently 0.
And when do you plan on having more than 0?
The civil service exam was announced, I believe, last Thursday, and the test is going to be held on, I believe, it's June 6th of this year.
Why is it taking so long when we actually discussed this at the beginning of the year?
Well, we had interviewed 75 or so candidates for the positions. After we had developed the list from that set of interviews, we had learned that the civil service exam was coming out, so we're still determining if we're going to be hiring from the interviews or waiting for the list to come out. If the list comes out soon, we'll hire off the list. If we're not going to get the list back from the state, we're going to hire off the interviews provisionally.
But then how could you, if it's a civil service job and you're going to require a test, how do you hire from a list that doesn't?
We can hire provisionally from interviews, and then once the civil service list is produced, if the people who were moved over originally took the exam, which is what we would encourage them to do, and have called everybody who did interview with us. We asked them to sign up for the civil service exam. If they're reachable on the test, they would stay.
And what happens if they aren't?
If they're not
Or
reachable.
if they fail, whatever?
Well, if they're not reachable on the exam, then they would not be able to stay on.
But from what I understand, though, these employees that you interviewed, many of them were displaced workers from the sewer department, correct?
I would not say many of them.
But most of the employees, most of the interviewees are actually, were or currently civil service employees here in the county, correct?
I would say about half were civil service.
Okay, so if they decided that you're going to hire from the list and they're going to be provisional, all right, and they either opt not to take the test or they take the test, they fail, or you don't get to their list number, what happens to them? Do they go back to the jobs that they left to do this job?
That would be a question for human resources. I believe if they are able to take a leave of absence from their position, they would be able to move back. But that's not my expertise. That would be for human resources.
But is there any effort on the part of the administration to work with human resources to protect those people should they come over as a provisional employee?
Yes,
so that they're not
absolutely.
giving up their future with the county?
We would not bring anybody over with the intent to sort of trap them, where if they move over to the TLC and then they don't make it on the test, that they're suddenly out of a job. That's not what we're...
Okay, and I understand that, and I'm very concerned about that. Is there any way then, from getting from the administration in writing, that those provisional employees that were employees of Nassau County and other job titles that have taken the job as a provisional taxi and limousine commission investigator, that should they not, either they don't reach the list number or they don't take the test or whatever, there's any reason, not because of their attitude or the behavior on the job, I mean, I understand that, but anything to depend upon the list and the test being given, that we could have it in writing that those people that do not, if they take the test and their number is not reached, that they will not be fired and left hanging, you know, that they will be able to retreat back to the jobs that they left in order to take this position.
I would have to speak to human resources to make sure that exactly what you're saying is something that we can do, but I would certainly take that under advisement and notify the county.
I'd like that soon, and I'd like it in writing, one way or the other, because you know, this is something very key. You know, to be quite honest with you, I know that we were talking about this, and the whole point of this taxi and limousine commission, it's not your fault, but you're the one who's going to head it, I guess. So it's going to be your problem.
That depends on the vote, right?
But the problem is, the whole point of this was that to make it safer for people throughout Nassau County that are riding in taxis. And at this point now, we're already in April, and we're still discussing the possibility of bringing investigators over. So to me, it sort of makes it a moot point as to, do we really care about the safety of the residents and the taxi riders here in Nassau County?
You know, I would have to point out, legislative board, that I have already been out with members of the 7th Precinct, the 3rd Precinct, and the Village of Hempstead Police, along with the existing taxi and limousine investigators from the Office of Consumer Affairs. I think we've done, up to this point, 4 sting operations. We have impounded 5 cars who were operating legally as taxi cabs, and we have ticketed, actually, the drivers of those 5, plus another 3 or 4 riders. I take this opportunity and this position very seriously, and we've already been out and increasing enforcement.
I thank you. Obviously, you do. But you know, many years ago, when we were in 1 West Street, we passed legislation in regard to taxi ridership, and then people were supposed to have the decals, and here we are. I mean, probably 10 years later, and we're still trying to get this whole thing together. You know, and I appreciate the efforts on the part of the police department because they do a phenomenal job here in Nassau County. I think by far they're the best police department throughout the United States, even the world. You know, but we also, and that's what they can do, but we also need them to do other things as well. And the whole point of having this with special investigators is that we don't always have to take up the time of the police officers. I really would like to focus on this, and I really would like to find out from human resources, and I would like to have a confirmation, and I'd like to see the notice that this test will be given June 6th, and what...
But the notice is online right now. You can go to Nassau Civil Service.
I usually get it, and I didn't see that notice at all. Okay. Basically, where is your office going to be located?
Located in 1 West,
okay.
Room 136A.
All right, and that will be where the investigators meet, or?
The investigators would meet across the hallway. I believe it's room 137.
Okay, and there's parking sufficient for them? Because there's like, how many of them going to be? 7 or 8, 9, 10?
There would be, you know, about, you know, on the civil service list, there would be 7.
Okay. And Now, I know that also in the legislation, not only are we going to have investigators, but we're going to have supervisors. So they have not been hired yet either, right? You're the only person currently working on the TLC?
Correct. I have a deputy county attorney assigned to my office, but it's essentially the two of us right now working with the existing taxi and limousine staff over at the Office of Consumer Affairs.
All right, so there'll be no supervisors hired until, of course, all of the employees are there.
The supervisory positions are the investigator 2 and 3 positions, and those would be testable positions as well. So no, the supervisor is going to be me.
Yeah, and then when will the test be then for those positions?
I will check with the Office of Civil Service.
Okay. Now, what is going to be the hours, you know, for the investigators to work? They're not going to be 9 to 5, are they?
The plan is not for them to be 9 to 5. And when we were doing the interviews, we indicated to everyone who was interviewing that the hours would be, depending on what kind of duty they would pull. Obviously, people are going to have to do desk work. They're going to have to come in and register their cabs with the county, so that would take up some space or some time of the day. But the investigators would have to be available both nights and weekends, as depending on where you're looking to do enforcement. If you want to be down in the village of Rockville Center, the city of Long Beach, it's important to be available at night and on the weekends when those areas have the late night bar crowds, concerts and that sort of thing letting out. So it's not necessarily helpful to have enforcement just 9 to 5. You want to have enforcement really randomly 24/7.
I just want to go back and then I'll be finished. I'm sorry. On the registration of the, I guess for the cabs to be registered.
Yes.
They're going to be doing it 1 West Street.
The paperwork would be done at 1 West Street, yes.
Is there any possibility of, only because of the location, parking, so forth, a lot of other things that can, is there any way of doing like a mobile type of setup so that you could go into the various neighborhoods basically where the cab companies have their headquarters and allow them to register the vehicles there?
There's certainly the possibility. It's not something that I have considered, but would be happy to investigate the opportunity to do so.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions regarding Mr. May? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of appointing, confirming the county executive's appointment of Greg May as Commissioner of the Taxi and Limousine Commission, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Confirmed, unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, we have related to the Taxi and Limousine Commission are 3 appointments by the county executive. The first one, that's item 22. That first one is Matt Silva. 23, the appointment is Larry Blessinger. And item 24, the appointment is Paul Della Quila. Motion, please. Moved by Legislator Becker, seconded by Legislator Ford. All right, any comments or questions regarding these 3 individuals? Are they here? Are the individuals here?
Yes.
Who's here? Okay. Step up, introduce yourself, please.
Press the red button.
Lawrence Blessinger Jr. It'll be a pleasure and an honor to serve on the Taxi and Limousine Commission Board. I believe it's a very important thing that the county executive has started this initiative. There are several issues in regards to illegal taxis running around Nassau County. It's also a big issue to the riding public and the safety of the riding public. Thank you.
Is Mr. Silva here? Matt Silva? Paul Della Quila? Yes. Paul, would you like to come up and say a few words? It may as well put a face to the name.
Yes, hello, my name is Paul Delaquillo, lifelong resident of Nassau County. Currently an independent consultant in the transportation and finance industry. Was asked to serve on this board. Have extensive experience in transportation in various taxi markets around the country, and I believe I can add value. My primary concern is like yours, is the safety of the consumer, enforcement, and accessibility.
Any questions or comments? Both of you? Yes, Legislator Becker?
I don't know Paul that well, but Mr. Blessinger I know personally, and Mr. Silver I also know personally. These are really quality people, and they have an understanding of the transportation industry, and Paul, you sound like you do as well. I think you're absolutely great selections, and I personally want to thank you for sacrificing your time to serve on this board. And I only can think that the community is going to be made safer, and the consumer public made safer by this. Thank you.
Any other comments from the legislators? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of confirming the appointment of Matt Silva, Larry Blessinger, and Paul Delaquila to the Taxi and Limousine Board signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The items pass unanimously. Congratulations. Come on, item 1. The next item is item 2, ordinance 33, an ordinance authorizing the county executive on behalf of the county of Nassau to execute an amendment to lease between the county of Nassau as landlord and Nassau Events Center, LLC, as tenant of certain premises located in Uniondale, Town of Hempstead, County of Nassau, State of New York, said property known as Section 44, Block 5, lots 403 and 351 on the land and tax map of the County of Nassau, and authorize the county executive to execute all pertinent documents in connection with to consummate the lease. I need an amendment to, not an amendment, I need a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by legislator, was it Becker? Yes. Okay, seconded by legislator Walker. All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion to suspend the rules now passed. Now, I need to offer an amendment to, okay, once again, item 2, ordinance 33, an ordinance authorizing the county executive on behalf of the county of Nassau to execute an amendment to lease between the county of Nassau as landlord and Nassau Events Center, LLC, as tenant of certain premises located in Uniondale, Town of Hempstead, County of Nassau, State of New York, said property known as Section 44, Lots 403 and 351 on the land map and tax map of the County of Nassau, and authorizing the county executive to execute all pertinent documents in connection therewith to consummate the lease. Now, I need a motion to, not yet, a motion to put the item before. Moved by legislator Capel, seconded by legislator Dodd. However, Now. At this time, it is necessary to offer an amendment in the nature of a substitution for clerk item 136-15, and this amendment corrects a clerical error in the ordinance and staff summary identifying NEC's increased financial commitment to the project as $31.5 million. The financial commitment was previously listed as $30.5 million in those documents, and includes the final page of the first amendment to lease containing Exhibit A that was omitted in the previous file. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Greco. All right. Now, all those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the item is amended. And now, it's time to entertain, I believe, the attorneys for, oh, there you are, I'm looking over here. Okay, all right, Josh. It's your turn, and Zach, we're gonna hear from you.
Good afternoon. I appreciate Josh Meyer, partner, Pinole Lopes, Devereaux and West. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here again today to follow up on the March 30th Rules Committee meeting, just so I can give you a briefing on EB5 in general and discuss the process and the program and the amendment that we are discussing today. So if I could just provide a brief history of the program to provide some context and background to the issues and to the EB5 program. There are 5 ways of obtaining a visa in the United States: family, asylum, lottery, an act of Congress, or employment. There are 5 categories of employment-based visas, and so that's where you get the EB5 from. It's the 5th category that was authorized by Congress in 1990 for the employment-based visa. So there's, of the 5 categories, there's EB1, EB2, EB3, and EB4, which are employee-based visa programs. So that's based on the skills that an immigrant can bring to a certain company or corporation in the United States. As I said, in 1990, this EB5 program, federal program, authorized this 5th category of employment-based visas, and it authorized foreign individuals to contribute or invest $500,000 for economic development projects in the United States in exchange for the opportunity to apply for a 2-year visa. This program is created to bring new investment capital into the country and to create new jobs for U.S. workers. So we're here today regarding the amendment to the existing Coliseum lease to provide an option for the EB5 financing in addition to the institutional investor financing already in the lease. This increases NEC's contractual financial commitment on the Coliseum to $31.5 million. That includes millions of dollars more spent on union labor. It increases the amount to be spent in the Coliseum from $98.5 million to $130 million. And it contractually increases the amount to be spent on the overall development from $229 million to $260.5 million. I would like to point out and stress it does not alleviate any of the duties or obligations of NEC to provide financing for the redevelopment of the Coliseum. If the EB5 financing is unsuccessful, NEC is required to pursue and obtain the conventional financing through an institutional investor, as currently stated in the lease. I'd like to also stress that EB5 financing is open and available to any foreign investors in almost all countries, and is not limited to any particular country or class of investors. I'd also like to point out the EB5 funding is currently being used to pursue at such major projects as the Tappan Zee Bridge, Hudson Yards in New York City, which is a major mixed-use redevelopment project, and of course the Atlantic Yards projects, just to name a few. And with that, I'd be happy to take or answer any questions that the legislative members may have.
How are you, Josh? Good. How are you? Good. Good. I have many different types of questions and many different types of areas. What I I just want to establish first, what we're voting on today does not include a community benefits agreement, correct?
That's correct.
And it does include, or it included when we passed it some time ago, a side letter, which was basically indicating that Forest City Radnor would engage in a 20% minority and women business enterprise initiative, but that side letter is not enforceable. Am I correct?
To the extent it's not enforceable, they've agreed to that right through the letter. It's not contractually part of the existing lease. And that, I assume, I'm not privy to the details of that, but I assume that's a goal that they established.
A goal, but if they try to, if the county wanted to enforce the letter and say, because Forest City only did 10%, they tried their best, but they got 10, it's a goal. There's no recourse the county could take to get them to do the 20.
I would agree with that. The lease was unanimously approved.
Yes.
At the time back then, and it did not include that at that time. That's correct. And it was agreed upon at that time to be a side letter.
So just to hammer home the point, what exactly is the host community, which in this case is Uniondale, receiving in this community benefits agreement? I've received a letter here from Mr. Ratner, I'm just trying to locate it, that talks about obviously, Forest City Radnor has a history of delivering community benefits regardless of government or stakeholder mandate. I guess that's a shot at us, myself. NEC will seek to maximize local hiring of residents of Uniondale, East Meadow, and the surrounding communities, as well as Nassau County and a greater Long Island residents. NEC is committed to creating a vibrant community for Nassau residents through access and engagement with the programming of the Coliseum. NEC commits to many tickets available to local community groups and will make the arena available for community events at a discounted rate. Now granted, if somehow folks think this is enough, but let me ask you this, is any of this in the lease?
Not currently, I believe, especially about MBE, WB. I believe there are other benefits available in terms of to the community regarding sales tax and other things that come back to the county, but not specifically on the items that you
mentioned. Well, I'm talking specifically in regards to a community benefits agreement with the host community or the neighboring communities such as East Meadow or Hempstead, but primarily we're talking about Uniondale. Is any component of what I just talked about, let's just go through it again, maximize local hiring. What commitment has they made, or can they identify how many jobs are going to be provided as per their letter in Uniondale, East Meadow, and the surrounding communities? How many jobs will be provided? Let's be more specific. How many jobs are going to Uniondale and East Meadow?
I'm not aware of any right now, but as I indicated,
can Forest City respond to that?
They can. As I indicated previously, it was unanimously approved.
Yes,
at the time, and so it's unclear to me at this time if that was if the community benefits agreement that you're interested in were to be put in, then there would have been an issue at the time it was voted upon, but I assume because it was voted unanimously, that it was agreed upon that that was not to be included.
No, we talked about it on the record, and I think someone mentioned it as part of the public comment that there was, that Forest City gave the impression that they would pursue many of the community benefits.
And I believe that if you do look back at the transcript, it was not a commitment to enter into one, but potentially the impression.
So let's just hammer home again. Local hiring for residents of Uniondale, East Meadow. This is not my language, this is theirs. How many residents from Uniondale or East Meadow could be expected to be hired? I think that's a very simple question if you're going to put that in a letter. So somebody from Forest City answer. Specifically to Uniondale and East Meadow, if you could, please.
Hi, thanks for having us. I'm Ashley Cotton, Senior Vice President from Forest City Radnor.
Jim Lester, Executive Vice President of Development, Forest City Radnor.
So glad to see many of you again, and again, we appreciate the unanimous support we received from this body previously. We were going to read that letter into the record. Maybe that's not worthwhile now since the minority leader's already been referencing it. We are happy to talk about any of the benefits written in that letter. Frankly, we've opened ourselves up to negotiating the specifics of those items in that letter in advance of this vote, and are happy to discuss it at length with you guys here today. We'd like to acknowledge that Dick O'Kane is here. We will be an all-union construction. The way to specifically identify specific workers without a PLA signed at this point is obviously not possible, but we certainly understand your question and look forward to all sorts of efforts in collaboration with the unions and of course with the legislature to hire local people. That's our intention, that's our record previously on all our construction projects, and we look forward to making sure that happens in Nassau.
Thank you. That said, I mean, obviously, I think everyone in this legislature voted unanimously. I know that's a recurring theme. We voted unanimously because obviously we want to see jobs, we want to see economic development. What the community benefits agreement does is it ensures that the community, in this case, which is the host community, is not left behind. So if I could, Mrs. Cotton, let me just get down to the specific. I mean, obviously, we can't answer the question in regards to NEC will seek to maximize local hiring for residents at Uniondale and East Meadow, can we? How many?
As I just said, obviously, I couldn't count the number of jobs. There is
So
a PLA to be signed, and as we discussed on the phone previously last week, we have a program in Brooklyn that we were willing to discuss with you guys, and obviously, again, I want to continue to refer to Dick O'Kane, who's here, because we'll have to sign a PLA. But there are programs that we've used previously where 1 in 4 construction workers is automatically a local union member from Brooklyn on our project in Brooklyn. These are the kinds of practices that are very commonplace for our company, and we'd be happy to bring them here to Nassau and to hammer out those sorts of agreements as part of the PLA.
So basically what we're talking about, I just like to be straight. What we're talking about is we can't basically make any commitment that anyone from East Meadow or Uniondale will be hired. It can be zero.
That's not true,
It could be zero. Well,
Mr. O'Kane is here.
Very unlikely.
Well, I mean, I'll be glad to have Mr. O'Kane come up. I know Dick very well, but obviously, it seems to me that we're making a commitment in a letter indicating that we seek to maximize the local hiring of residents in Uniondale and East Meadow. But quite honestly, we can't make any commitment for that today. Mr. O'Kane, please.
O'Kane, please join us.
Yeah,
Come up and join us.
I think I can put this thing to rest. My name is Dick O'Kane. I'm with the Nassau Suffolk Building Trades. I represent 59,000 workers, many of whom live in Uniondale. And they're all licensed and certificate in 34 different trades. Out of that, we've come, many times we've had this debate for the last 40 years about community benefits and things of that nature. And this year, for the first time, we have our first inaugural class regarding Opportunity Long Island, where we take disadvantaged people in these communities, and we try to get them workways to enter into, pre-register them to try to get into any one of those 34 trades that I just enumerated to become apprentices. What we're doing is offering them careers, not jobs that just going to last when the Coliseum is going up, and then when it's all over, they go away and they're still looking and they're in the same boat. We are offering them careers. I can attest to the fact that it's a wonderful career. 34 years, I have 43 years with the ironworkers, and it was a great career for me. And I came from a depressed area. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have any, anybody holding my hand and taking me to get work and all of that. I had to make it on my own. But I went to apprentice school. So what we're trying to do for the community is to get these people that are disadvantaged, screwed up a little bit, and, when they were younger, and have a hard time getting employment. We're in the process right now. We have 15 people in class getting the training that will open up the door for them to apply into the apprenticeship programs, 34 of them, 34 programs that, at one point or another, 59,000 people went through. So it's an opportunity. It was overdue. It's here. And we're looking forward to the next class. I'll strongly suggest that we do the recruitment in Uniondale.
That's great.
And it needs to go into East Meadow as well.
Oh, absolutely. So,
I'm sorry? It needs to go into East Meadow as well.
And what?
East Meadow, which is a neighboring community.
Okay, anywhere you want it, we'll introduce the class.
Now, Dick, I appreciate that. And obviously, like I said before, we want to see development at the Coliseum. And I appreciate you coming down here today and being patient with us. I envision you've probably been here before 1 o'clock.
11.
11 o'clock.
And that was the third application in.
But keeping in mind, obviously, I know and I respect you for the fact that you mentioned that there's folks from Uniondale and East Meadow that are going to be coming down, and good things are going to be working at this project. But But the goal of a community benefits agreement, one, we want to make sure that there's organized labor that continues to prosper, continue to be able to put food on the family for many of those food on the table for many of those families. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that obviously we want to make sure that this opportunity opens up doors for those that may not be a member of the union. And that's where the community benefits comes in, is making sure that because this project is going to occur in Uniondale, that we're able to get new members infused so that the project has a representation of folks that are from the surrounding community.
None of the people that are in school now are union people. These are people that are looking to get into the union, and as I said earlier, we are trying to train them to get them work ready so that they can get into a union apprenticeship program and prosper from there moving forward. So none of them are union people right now that are in this program. It's Opportunity Long Island, and the opportunity is to try to get in, you know, if you work ways, and be able to go to an apprenticeship school, serve 3, 4, 5 years, and get out there and be a consummate journeyman. As a result of being an apprentice, wind up with all kinds of certificates, licenses that you need. You know, I get amused sometimes when I hear about 20%, 30%. How do you take 20% or 30% of the people that aren't any training and put them on a project of that magnitude with no training? Just the other day there was 4 people in New York that wound up at a hospital trying to hang a chandelier. So, you know, you look at the magnitude of that Coliseum, and, you know, the more training they have, the better off you're going to be. You're going to, you know, less liable for lawsuits and the whole 9 yards.
We agree.
That's the ultimate goal. But none of these people have any affiliation or even thought of having an affiliation with a local union until we put this program together called Operation Long Island, or Opportunity Long Island.
I agree with your sentiment in regards to that. But look, if I can, Mrs. Khan, if I can move on to a different point, because I guess we're going to agree to disagree to some degrees on that. The NEC letter also talks about that you're making commitments to making tickets available to local community groups, and will make the arena available for community events at a discounted rate. Is any of that in the lease agreement?
Nope, that's in the letter before you.
That's in the letter before me. So there's nothing, if you turn around and decide you don't want to do it, there's nothing forcing you to do it.
Again, these are the kinds of benefits that are exactly what our company believes in, exactly what our company dreams up. It's exactly what our company's done in Brooklyn, and it's exactly what we want to bring to Nassau. We'd be happy to engage with you, as we've said many times, on just, you know, identifying the community groups that you're most interested in seeing these sorts of benefits.
They're right behind you.
And I would offer that to everybody here today.
Well,
there are over 2 million people in Brooklyn that we're happy to engage with when it relates to the Barclays Center. And in the case of Nassau Coliseum, you know, Uniondale, which we've mentioned many times, and many other towns, they are going to see these benefits. That is our pledge. That is what we do, and we look forward to working out those sorts of details with you guys.
They have a CBA in Brooklyn.
Well, that's another story too, as well, because there was a CBA in Brooklyn. Many of these things probably discussed in that. But let me also go, before I go into that, let's just put into clarity on what the community's been asking for. I think Professor Maney said, Professor Maney talked about.
Take the mic.
Professor Maney discussed it earlier in regard to some of the 4 points of community unity. One was which he was looking to have facade and signage upgrades on Uniondale Avenue. One was discussing the continue to further enhance the efforts of the community center. Obviously, the internships in the STEM is something that he was pushing for as well. And then obviously the vacant homes and the zombie properties in Uniondale. Is there any discussion or any, I mean, you and I have discussed this, but obviously it hasn't come to fruition. Is there any discussion about how any of that stuff would be considered?
So I think we'll try to take them one by one. Internships and programming around the Nassau Coliseum and the development that we are actually doing, we are happy to discuss and create programs around those sorts of things. We were never asked to come and develop STEM jobs. I'm sure you all know now that Memorial Sloan Kettering is interested in coming to the site, and we're obviously pleased about that. It happens to be separate from us, but I will point out that our boss, Bruce Ratner, serves on the board of Memorial Sloan Kettering, so we will take a little credit for helping bring STEM jobs here, even though we always sought to do an entertainment and sports facility and had nothing to do with STEM. That being said, that is a really great development since this all began. Internships we talked about, we are happy to do programs like that. As it relates to funding for what I would call off-site developments that aren't related specifically to the work we are in lease with you guys to do, those issues have not progressed, obviously, since we've spoken most recently. We'll continue to talk about them, but I have no commitments here.
Okay, so let me ask you, were those concepts, were they considered in Brooklyn?
Streetscape projects, no.
Well, not streetscapes, I'm talking about projects outside of your scope. Were projects outside your scope considered in Brooklyn?
No.
So as part of their CBA, their community benefits agreement that they received, what did the people of Brooklyn get?
So I'll remind those that obviously don't know our work in Brooklyn that well. It's a 22-acre site with an 8-acre park, a public school, an arena, and 16 housing towers. It's over a $4 billion project. It is an entirely different scope in terms of scale and actual substance from what we're doing here in Nassau. That doesn't mean we're not bringing excellence and community benefits to Nassau. It just happens to be a different project. So the benefits that we are proud of in Brooklyn relate to 2,240 units of affordable housing, relate to a school in the base of one of those housing buildings.
We'll take
other
that.
Things.
We'll take that. We'll take that.
So we're zoned to build entertainment uses and an arena, as you guys all know. So if you guys want to engage on a new project, that's obviously for another day.
Well, obviously, I'm not asking for a new school. I'm sorry.
The items that I wanted to really make sure people understand as they relate to entertainment uses. Again, the most comparable thing we can point to between Nassau and Brooklyn is an arena. And so tickets, school tours, we were all just blown away by the young people you had here with us today. But you think about entertainment, and not all high school kids are going to grow up to either play at center court or sing in front of 18,000 people. But they're going to be the chefs, they're going to be the engineers, going to be the sound technicians. We think the arena opens a world of opportunity for the young people in Nassau, which you guys are clearly all already doing, and again, blew us away this morning. But these are the kinds of benefits, as they relate specifically to a coliseum, to an arena, that we think are exactly what we're going to bring when we get through this process and get to construction. Well, and again, today was really about financing. We are happy to talk about benefits. I mean, it's frankly what I'm employed to do.
Today you're encouraging this legislature to reopen the lease.
That's what I was saying. So today's financing is really about moving forward and really getting into the dirt.
But this legislature can't look at that in a vacuum. What we're deciding to do, well, what I'm deciding to do, is not just look at the financing, but if we're going to reopen the lease, which is going to provide Forest City Ratner the ability to invest $31 million into the Coliseum, then obviously the community should have a stakehold to ensure that if there's a possibility that $31 million is going to be reinvested, why couldn't the community see a portion of that? Forest City is getting, I have to think, is because they're getting an opportunity to build a nice facility, they're also getting the opportunity to do it cheaper. That's what this mechanism is doing. If it wasn't doing that, then why are we even talking about it? It was going to cost you more money.
So we're investing $160 million in private investment. The $30 million, just so everyone understands, is $30 million more that we are spending. It's not that we're getting it. We are spending $30 million more because we think this needs to be a world-class facility, and that's what we promised you, and that's what we're going to deliver on. As for do I think benefits should come back to the community? Absolutely. That's why we're here to talk about the letter or any of the other benefits
but
we've spoken about previously.
But Ms. Khan, the community is thankful that Mr. Ratner took the time to write this letter, but I got to be honest with you, anything that I can't tell these folks out here that it will happen, I couldn't say that based off Mr. Ratner's word. I don't know Mr. Ratner that well. I've known him now for the last year and a half. He hasn't given me any reason that he would break his word. But when I have to face these folks in Uniondale or East Meadow or the surrounding communities, it's tied to a binding agreement, which a community benefits agreement would do, which when you provided schools in Brooklyn, I'm sure Dr. Lloyd, who is the superintendent of Uniondale Schools, who was outside earlier today, would love the ability to have support to build new schools. Maybe it wouldn't be the amount of money that you provide to Brooklyn. I mean, look, we understand $2.5 billion or $4 billion in comparison to 130. We understand there are different scales. But clearly, tickets and internships is by no stretch of the imagination even close to what, if we're looking at it from apples to apples, that the Uniondale community deserves in this process. To try to say that because we're going to get discounted rates for community events and tickets, and the possibility that the local hiring will include folks, and maybe we'll do a goal of 20% on the MWBE, maybe, we'll try. But that being said, all that being considered, Ms. Cotton, I'm sorry, I wasn't finished. I let you speak every single time. Thank you so much. That being said, I just find it hard to believe that you expect a community to accept that.
Respond, you know, you can certainly have your opinion in terms of
CBA.
Folks, I'm with you, but that doesn't help.
Thank you.
Continue.
Appreciate that. Certainly, you know, everyone's allowed to have their own opinion about how good they think these benefits are. Certainly, if you don't believe they're strong, obviously there are a lot of people in Brooklyn who enjoyed these in a great way, including leaders like Reverend Daughtry and the House of the Lord Church in Brooklyn, who administers our ticket program and has given out, you know, tens of thousands of tickets to groups in Brooklyn that couldn't have gotten them. You know, if you don't believe, you know, these are benefits that the Nassau community is interested in, that's certainly, you know, one opinion. We stand by them. I guess to the point of signing letters and this and that, we don't sign letters that we're not going to follow through on. We're a publicly traded company. We have a corporate reputation that we have to stand by. We stand by the record that we've demonstrated in New York City now for 30 years, and we look forward to bringing that here. And I will say, we're not going to respond to all the criticism and the hissing behind us, but the one thing that's been said again and again is that Bruce Ratner himself said he would sign a community benefits agreement and changed his mind. That is absolutely not true. You guys all were there. You have the testimony. September 23rd, 2013, we have the testimony with us. There's absolutely no commitment in there whatsoever. And so, you know, we understand we can be the bad guys and people can criticize us, but to say that our boss has changed his word on that is absolutely not true. And to say that he's going to sign letters and not follow through with those is just not the company we are.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, but again, this body is expected to vote on a measure which allows Forest City to invest $31 million in additional resources to $130 million, and still, this body is absent of anything that's concrete. You want to call it a community benefits agreement, you want to call it a CBA, whatever you want to call it, this community is absent of having an agreement which guarantees them something in exchange for being the host community for the Coliseum. That's the result.
I'd just like to say one thing about the $31 million.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
It sounds like to me that you want a binding agreement from us by giving you a lease, which I'm sure if we didn't follow through on something, you would come after us on it. But at the same time, you don't want to give a binding agreement to them. And that's why I have a problem with this agreement. This is a great letter. I'm sure it took time to write, and I'm not dismissing it. But the fact remains, none of it's binding. And you want this legislature to enter into a binding agreement, but you're not willing to give a binding agreement to Uniondale, and that's unfair. Mr. Lester?
I would just like to echo what Ms. Cotton said about our commitment to standing behind the letter. We plan to be here developing the project for many years. It's a long lease, and we like this to be the beginning of future development on the site. And then I'd just like to add one comment on the $31 million. The $31 million is driving benefits for the people of Nassau, for the people of Uniondale. It's something that we are doing because we believe it's a right thing to do, but it's not something that we take lightly. It's an extra $31 million that we're investing in the project. We're certainly not saving $31 million through EB5 or anywhere close to that. But we believe that it's the right thing to do for the project, to make the Coliseum better, to really improve on the design that we presented here back in 2013. So I think it drives benefits for the people of Nassau, and will drive $17 million or so of spending on labor.
But Mr. Lester, if I may, again, I think everyone here, not just up here, but everyone in the audience wants to see a new Coliseum. I don't think anyone is objecting to that. I think everybody wants to see jobs. As Mr. O'Kane mentioned, we want to see jobs. We want to see economic development. But we don't want to see anybody be left behind either. And I grew up in this community. I grew up there from 1977 till now. And I can tell you, when I drive down Uniondale Avenue, right into Hempstead Turnpike, and eventually see a brand new Coliseum, and then I see a community that is a host community to this site be left behind, is not right. And to me, to be honest, we have the responsibility. This is a public municipal facility, and we have the responsibility that the public and the taxpayers can feel part of the process, and they're just not. That being said, I want to just tie into, again, the EB5 program, and I don't know if Josh...
Before we get to that, would you do me a favor?
Sure, of course.
Because Presiding Officer Nicolello has some questions, and I believe Mr. O'Kane wants to make a comment. Please, sure, Mr. O'Kane.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to, before I became the president of Nassau Suffolk Building Trades, I worked with the ironworkers in a business manager capacity for 13 years. And Mr. Ratner, I'm delighted to tell you that with all the contractors that I worked with, he was one of the ones that actually said what he was going to do. They all tell you what you want to hear in the beginning and everything like that, but Mr. Ratner was the exception to the rule. He did everything in his power to make the project in Barclays work. He spent tens of millions of dollars defending frivolous lawsuits. People, with their own interest at heart, and he stood with it. And I don't know how he did it. I don't think personally I could have done what he went through. But nevertheless, he kept his promise that he was going to make it happen, and he made it. And there was never a problem with his word, or not one bit of a problem that wasn't taken care of on a job when it was going on for several years. So. I want to instill some confidence in the legislature here that Mr. Ratner is a man of his word, and I could, I wish I knew more contractors like Mr. Ratner. Okay, and basically that's it, and I support the amendment to put EB5 into it. The Coliseum, we want it to be the best, and I think we deserve the best. And if he can get $31 million more to put into the Coliseum, my members, representing the members, they want it too, and I hope it happens. Thank you.
Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. I just want to clarify the concept here that we're allowing you to spend $31 million. I mean, the $31.5 million is what? Are we allowing anything to do anything?
Right. The $31.5 million are additional costs that we are going to be spending on the Coliseum to improve the design in the building from beyond what we had originally presented. It's an enhancement beyond what we showed, and I can get into more detail about the kinds of things it is, but it's aesthetics to functional changes to the Coliseum.
So you're putting more money into the renovation of this facility?
Correct.
And so then those $31 million will make this a better facility for every Nassau resident who goes to attend events there?
That's right. For fans, for artists, for sponsors, for everyone, for every stakeholder in the project.
And to the extent that you've determined that an additional $31.5 million is needed for the project, if we start peeling money off that, then whatever additional improvements there are to the Coliseum won't happen. If you cut 35 to 31 to 21, then whatever it was that you were going to do in the Coliseum to make it a better facility, that doesn't happen.
That's right. We need to take a hard look at it. So, one of the things that we do in the development process is figure out what the right thing to do is in terms of design, and that's what we did. Sometimes the costs are higher, and we determine that we feel it's appropriate to spend more. we also work through ways to fund that, and one way to fund it is through EB5 financing. So we try to work it through. To the extent that the EB5 financing is not available, we would need to look at some of these costs and try to peel them away. We don't want to do that, and but that's sort of the reality, and it's just sort of a tugging situation.
Thank you. Just one other point, Ms. Cotton. If there are those programs to give to community groups who are underprivileged, believe me, there are groups in my district that will be eager to participate in that. And I'm sure that everyone else up here.
Legislative Board. Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. It's good to see you again, and I thank you very much for the opportunity that you extended to all of us to go for a walk through the Barclays Center in Brooklyn to give us an idea of what the increased $31 million, will do for the community and for the Coliseum. But just going with that, because this is going to be an upgrade to some of the work that will be done, I guess, in the concourse. And correct me if I'm saying like everything wrong, but considering that you're going to redesign it, and to me, from my limited experience, it looks like it's going to be more a labor-intensive project than if you get the increase of the $31 million. How many? Thinking about how many construction jobs have you estimated that you will have in renovating the Coliseum, and how many more do you think would be increased by adding the $31 million in enhancements?
So in the county, it's about 1,500 to 1,680 prior to the $31 million. So this is in Nassau County, and then if we spend the extra $31 million, it's about another 200 construction jobs in Nassau County. It's about 250 in the county and the state. Right. Some of the jobs are out of state.
Okay, that I understand. But, considering that even with union labor, I guess Mr. O'Kane had mentioned that many of the union workers very well will be residents of Nassau County and many possibly in the general area surrounding the Nassau Coliseum, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to revamp, because I know that when we look at jobs and opportunities that we have, as Mr. O'Kane had said, the construction jobs will last, say basically for 18 months, just for argument, some will stay on after that. But the opportunity of having a renovated Coliseum will bring many more opportunities to the residents of Nassau County, and specifically, possibly to those who live in the surrounding areas, in the way of jobs, whether or not they're working the box office, if they're working in concessions, correct?
That's right. Also, the construction jobs lead to other possibilities. So you work on one project, and then there's further development, or you move to other projects.
Right, and then with the training that they do get, that it is a career rather than just a limited job for 18 months or 24 months. But then with the Coliseum being renovated, and I was very impressed with the number of people that even on an off morning, there really wasn't anything really big going on, how many people were actually working at that time, So I was impressed by the number of employees then. So I can only imagine during an event how many more people will be working at I guess it would be at the Barclays Center. But one of the interesting things, and we were talking about this, is the fact that with food services, that you look to capitalize on the area where you have your venue. In the case of Brooklyn, you've reached out, you have a food service person, I guess, contractor who will go to the local establishments and try to bring in the flavor. So in that case, in Barclays, I brought in the flavor of Brooklyn. We're hoping that in Nassau County, you're going to basically bring in the flavor, so to speak, of Long Island, correct? Can you just give us a quick synopsis of how that works and what you actually do with what Mr. Levy actually does?
Sure. So we contract with an overall food service provider, Levy Restaurants. They worked with us at Barclays, and we're going to use them here at the Coliseum. At Barclays, in conjunction with a consultant on our own ownership side, Levy went out and reached out to over 200 vendors throughout Brooklyn, and worked with them to bring in ultimately 55 vendors into the Barclays Center in what we call Brooklyn Taste. So it's really the best of Brooklyn food. There's a hotbed of culinary food offerings in Brooklyn, and we wanted to bring the best to the Barclays Center, and we'd like to do the same thing here in Long Island in the Coliseum. In addition, we'd actually like to take it one step further and probably enhance on it by doing healthy options, which is something we currently aren't doing at Barclays Center, but we think would resonate here in Nassau. And then also we're thinking about even further development catering towards the sort of the beverage component of it. So the wineries of the North Fork, while maybe in Suffolk, still Long Island, that sort of thing. Also, you know, curated different sort of juices and things like that. So it's just a further development on what we are thinking about doing. And what it requires, this is an example of one of the changes, it requires redoing all the concession equipment throughout the entire building. So we thought, you know, possibly there was some things that could be salvaged, but now it's a more robust reconfiguration and it requires additional investment.
So that means that a lot of our local restaurants may benefit from entering into an agreement with the Levy Food Services, and that, and as if the Coliseum is very successful, you know, the venue is attracting so many people, then we can be ensured of revenue that we will be getting from it, and that also that it perhaps could even provide more and more jobs, you know, for people. And a lot of times you like try to even look to the people who live in the local area too, because they're the ones who are closest and easiest to get to the Coliseum, correct?
Yeah, you know, I just want to talk about a little bit as an economic generator. You know, we think of the arena in Brooklyn, and it will be the same in the Coliseum, as a wave kind of flowing out. And this is a really great example of where the guy making the Rice Krispie treat in Brooklyn that's now selling in the middle of 18,000 people at a sold-out basketball game. I mean, that's more, you know, desserts than he thought he would sell in a night at any given time in his small business. You know, and Brooklyn, the taste is all over the map. So Spumoni Gardens and Juniors and Nathan's being institutional players that everybody's heard of in Brooklyn, to you know, Blue Marble ice cream and other sort of artisanal, you know, very new companies who have grown in such stature thanks to their partnership with us. It's an amazing thing. A very small restaurant in the neighborhood I live in, walking distance from the arena, now, you know, has a huge sign where, again, 18,000 people walking through on a given night will say, you know, what is this restaurant, and maybe go there. You know, the opportunity for continuing to build on this kind of economic success is quite dramatic. We couldn't agree more.
And I think that it is very commendable, you know, that you're doing this, because I think that I look at this as a blank canvas, and that we see what had happened in Brooklyn, that can happen even to a greater extent here in Nassau County, to the benefit of all of the residents in Nassau County. And I can tell you about a lot of restaurants you may want to speak to.
We'll go on a food tour with you if you don't mind.
I'd love to see some of my Long Beach and Island Park and Oceanside people, you know, some of those restaurant owners having a booth or something up there. But there are a lot, and I'm not going to belabor